All right, everyone. Trump has done something rather smart, which is he's pitching one of the ideas for the border wall that he's suggesting that's been laid forth is the idea of topping it with solar panels to make it a huge boost to renewable energy. Actually, considering the size of wall that would have to be built, even if you're not building it in some of the steeper mountain regions and that's just like fence or some other sort of more simplistic structure, even if it's just the more flat areas that are getting a wall of that size covered in solar panels, you realize how much green energy that would actually produce, assuming if Trump decided, well, I'm going to team up with Tesla for this, we'll give them a kickback and have literal, like their more efficient version of solar roofing just slapped on top of the wall. You're talking about what would probably be the largest green energy project in the world, actually. It would be difficult to imagine a scenario in which a larger uninterrupted generating structure would have ever been built. So actually it's a fairly good idea, and it would appease some of the people on the marginal left who are holding out and saying, well, the wall might be unnecessary, it's a bad investment, it won't produce a return, it's unnecessary, which I disagree with. Might shut up about it if it's a huge repository of green energy. You could see Trump use his negotiating capabilities to sweeten the deal further, especially with regards to maybe a state like California, maybe throw a few more green energy subsidies their way. This is how things are accomplished in D.C. You don't have to like it, you don't have to think it's fiscally responsible, but that is sort of the way that things work, and if he's going to get stonewalled on it, he's going to need to give people something that they want. So essentially, he's getting his wall, which is one of the main promises he made to his fans. It's one of those things that they feel most strongly about. And the presence of green energy on it would actually create revenue, literally by offsetting cost in these bordering states as far as electricity goes. At least along the border, all of these smaller communities that dot the border would be able to get virtually all of their electricity from green energy. It'd be a huge help. It would probably also look, in all honesty, from just an aesthetic point of view, it would probably look better than simply having a bunch of iron rails sticking up out of the ground or out of some cement blocks or something like that. The border wall that does exist today is fucking hideous. And I can understand why it's often seen as a symbol of oppression and backwardness and sort of the uglier side of politics, specifically because the barrier that's already in place is friggin' ugly. There's no other way to put it. It looks like the Berlin Wall or something like that. If you green it up a little bit, make it look a little bit less conspicuously police-statey, it will actually, in a psychological manner, a lot of people will react less negatively towards its presence. Now, the one thing that hasn't been cleared up is there is private land that this eventual wall would have to go through. That's going to be the big sticking point, because Trump is more supportive of eminent domain than some other Republicans are, certainly the Rand or Amash-style Republicans. I'm of the mind that in such cases, a carrot should be given before the stick. The idea of simply seizing somebody's land, giving them peanuts for it, because of pragmatism, it rubs me the wrong way. Private property is a sacred right within the United States. I'm not in favor of land confiscation for any but the most important purposes. And even when it is being confiscated for a purpose that is absolutely necessary, like a border defense system, or some energy project, or some military apparatus that is absolutely necessary for national defense, a significantly higher proportion of money should be allotted to actually giving the person pay in exchange for their land. It shouldn't be, oh, well, we're paying you the fair value of the land. No, it should be, we're paying you 10 times what it's worth, because we don't want citizens to think the government can just come along and screw them out of their livelihood. It's like in Florida years ago. There were some of these smaller homes by the water's edge, and it was sort of a working class neighborhood, one of the last holdouts that hadn't been like developed in for tourism. And these people got hit with eminent domain, and they basically lost everything because the fair market value of these smaller homes, while it was higher than it would otherwise be because of its location, they're still getting, these are retirees and people on pensions, and they're getting, you know, barely what their homes are worth. There were no other homes they could purchase in the general area because, I mean, they ended up having to go, like, probably rent an apartment or move out of state because of what that municipality had done. So if people near the border are going to have their land partitioned to put a wall through it or, you know, taken outright, it needs to be a much higher, if Trump doesn't want a massive PR blunder, he needs to make sure the government is offering them significantly more than their actual holdings are worth in return. Now, you should go forth, do that, get all of it voluntarily, preferably, simply by offering people more money. Trump could even, I believe it would be legal if Trump were to liquidate one of those skyscrapers and create a fund and he were to pay for that land himself on behalf of the taxpayers. If Trump did something like that, he'd be the most popular president in those states forever. He could, I guess, feasibly do that, but putting solar panels on the wall will be a good idea. Now, you've got a state like New Mexico. New Mexico is essentially a swing state. It leans towards the left, but it's a swing state. Arizona, increasingly, is a swing state. This is the area of the country that's more swingy than it has been. Texas, off the table. People keep predicting it's going to go blue. I don't see that happening anytime soon. California is obviously a blue state. But New Mexico and Arizona are areas that the Republicans want to continue being competitive in. So you don't want to put up a big, ugly wall that doesn't benefit anybody in those border communities. You want to put something up that is at least marginally aesthetically pleasing, has a purpose other than being a wall, and it clears up some people's fears. It would be more popular. The idea of building a wall on the border is popular among Trump's fans and most centrists. It is very unpopular among left-leaning individuals, left-leaning centrists, and certain, like, never Trump groups because it's not fiscally responsible. Well, that makes it fiscally responsible. It makes it green. Offsets, like, Trump should bill it as, oh, we're putting these on because we realize the equipment we're going to need to create the wall is going to create CO2. And while we're not joining, like, the Paris Climate Accords because they're retarded or something, we do care about green energy. Here's my pledge to you. The wall will be covered, you know, top to bottom in solar cells or something like that. It's a good idea. It would earn him brownie points with some of those left-leaning centrists and fail to piss them off. It'd be more popular in these border regions, within states that need to be competitive according to GOP strategy. They don't want to lose the whole Southwest. They've gobbled up the Rust Belt, but if you then alienate like Arizona or possibly even Texas or something like that, you got a big fucking problem. You would need to be more competitive in the Rust Belt. Then that comes with its own complications, of course, over time. So I would say if you're going to build a border wall, and I'm not averse to the idea of doing so, putting solar panels on it, it'd make it cost more, but you're going to get a return, especially if you're using the more efficient variants that can be produced by U.S. industries. And that, by the way, even though you're paying them billions of dollars, it's creating a bunch of U.S. jobs. Some of that money goes right back into the economy. It gets them started, they can build more factories, they can potentially then be more competitive as well overseas. Imagine if we end up exporting green energy, not just like coal and oil, to other countries. It would be a huge boom for our economy. We'd be the true energy juggernaut in every possible realm. And I think it would be good for the U.S. economy. It remains to be seen whether this particular plan will happen, but it's on paper, it's a very good idea, if you can get the never-Trumpers in Congress to actually, of course, free up money and vote for it. That's about all. Peace out.